the original moonshiners. I managed to get an introduction to one. I had taught his children once upon a time, and when he understood that I wanted to know the true story, that I wasn't there to make fun, I wasn't there to point the finger of judgment or anything like that, and I was just amazed. You know, he opened up to me about so many things, but one of the things that he said has stuck with me was that when the feds came in and cut their, that's what they call them, cut their stills. You know, they'd use an axe and they would destroy the stills. He said for a couple of weeks, of course, they would be out of business. And he said, Duay, when that happened, it affected every household in Cocke County. And he said, the Baptist, and this is what he said, the Baptist will disagree, but he said for 2 weeks, we had no money at all. We had no money to put in the church plate on Sunday. We had no money to pay our taxes. We had no money to buy groceries, to send to the school for our children's whatever they needed, what they needed to have at school. And he said it was such a large part of the financial basis, you know, of the county, that everyone, you know, if you had a clothing store in Newport, you didn't have any business from us, you know, for 2 weeks until we got open again. And so a short time after that, I was asked to speak over at Wilderness Wildlife, and you may be familiar with that in Pigeon Forge. And so that was my topic. And I was amazed because it was an auditorium and the standing room only, I guess 300 or more people in there. And so I tried to temper my remarks. I started back when in the colonial times, and it was legal to make liquor, of course, make whiskey, and then it became illegal, and then it became legal, you know, back and forth. And after the Civil War, of course, it became illegal again because the country was broke, and they could tax whiskey. Stories with all my research into our local moonshining, and let me say this, if you don't mind. Yes, I knew popcorn soda. That is the iconic Googling. Okay, I love it. So
he's a person.
He was a person, and I love it that you don't know who he was. I mean, you just don't know. But anyway, I did know him, and he, in fact, there's a popcorn Sutton distillery now. But let me tell you this: he was not a typical moonshiner. He gave the world what Hollywood created. You know, the ignorant hillbilly, etc. And he made a fortune doing it. I don't begrudge him that. He's deceased now, but he's not. You know, your real moonshiners, you know, like the fellow that I interviewed so much and everything. If you put him in a group of 100 men and dress them all the same, we'll say, you would never be able to pick them out. They were good people. They were kind people. They believed in paying their taxes. They would not accept government handouts. Oh no, that was just terrible. You know, the idea of getting a government check for something. They were believed in education. So many of them used their liquor money to make sure their children got a chance to go to college and have different careers and better careers and things. Many of these were people who were displaced by the park. And so I had one fellow tell me years ago, and he would have been making liquor in the 1920s, I guess. He said, I didn't drink it. He said, I made plenty of it. He said, I had a wife and I had 6 children, and they looked to me to provide the food and the clothes. And I'll never forget, he said, and not everybody could get a job at Stokely's. And that was a large canning factory. And at the time he was talking about, Stokely's and our tannery were the only 2 big employers. say, I love Cocke County. Of course, I grew up here, and I know that in many circles that we have somewhat of a reputation, and I think sometimes we're our own worst enemies. You know, I think that that's changing somewhat, and marketing, of course, has a lot to do with that. But I think that the fact that literally hundreds of people, you know, have moved here, say in the last 20 years, you know, to retire and so forth, I think that speaks volumes. That they find us a welcoming place and a welcoming community. And so I appreciate you and your class and your efforts to tell our story.